San Francisco's premier punk rock cover band, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, are back with a new live album called Blow It at Madison's Quinceañera that highlights the band's unique ability to stir an audience into a frenzy. The comedic awkwardness of this album draws you in, but you definitely stay for the innovative reworkings of classics like Dancing Queen and Love Will Keep Us Together, as well as a hit from current pop star Olivia Rodrigo. We spoke with Spike Slawson about their upcoming tour of Australia, which will land in Newcastle on the 2nd of November. I've just been listening to your latest album. I've actually listened to it twice in a row because it was so much fun. So congratulations. It's so sick.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm very happy with the way that came out. When we were driving up from the actual event and I was looking at pictures of the event, it's this weird disembodied feeling. Like I couldn't believe that it had actually happened, even though it had happened like maybe less than 24 hours prior. It was just such a weird event,
Yeah.
and I hope that comes through the record, how weird and awkward it was. And then ultimately, like, redemption, the circle was closed, and the event and the band redeemed themselves. We played an Olivia Rodrigo song, which was kind of key because prior to that, I think like the most recent song we had done was from like the late 80s.
Yeah.
Maybe. So playing a song from the current millennium was a strategic move that paid off. And I think, and furthermore, in case you're worried that we were just kind of clowning on the people there was a DJ that played in between our two sets and after our second and final set for hours into the night, all music that the kids dug. So we weren't just having fun at their expense. We were very much aware too that it was like an event in somebody's life, not only her life, but her entire family. Like, Quinceañera is a big event.
Yeah.
And we're very mindful of that fact, to try to be respectful, but to also, try to push the envelope a little bit. And I don't know. It was a weird night, and it's a weird record, but that's like kind of what we wanted.
Yeah, well, I have to say, the way that it comes across is that awkwardness is definitely there, but it's so brilliantly placed that I thought that it was staged for a second. I'm like, surely this can't be someone's actual quinceañera. Now that I know that it was, that accident at the very front of the album where you say it's Jason's birthday or something, was that real?
Bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to give the impression that like that was a joke, that I thought I was at a bar mitzvah. A boy's 13-year-old, rather than. And I gotta say, some people in the crowd, in the family, were not too crazy about that joke, but we wanted to start maybe provoke at first, and then, because that's kind of what we do in our live shows anyway. We're kind of trolls, and we try to provoke people to the point, often past the point, of booing and vocal displays of like displeasure and disapproval, and then try to reel them back in, hopefully by the end of this set. And I will say that on the nights where the booing is the loudest, those are the nights that we end up selling the most t-shirts.
That's weird. How does that even make sense?
No, it doesn't, because you would think it'd be a higher form of animal that would be doing that to us, but it's actually humans that devise these, weird. But they came to have a party for their 15-year-old girl, and she came to be feted and honored on this special occasion. So staged by omission, maybe. So if you're talking like editing some of the like really long awkward parts out, we definitely did that. So there is stuff that it's like lying by omission.
Mm.
But otherwise, the event was real. The problem with releasing a lot of the video, because there is some great video capture from the event, but the problem being that on a lot of those songs, or maybe all of those songs, they're it's complicated to do them and put them on a record, but it's feasible to sync up a video performance of those songs. You enter into a completely different like legal
Mm.
licensing situation, and you might owe the estate of Vicente Fernandez a bunch of money if you want to do that. So we still have to, pour over all the different camera angles and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, suffice it to say that for now, that like that'll prove that it went down. Like it was as awkward as it sounded in certain points. Like I would literally was begging people to move up, and
Yeah.
they left instead. Like they actually left, like in like groups of people. And I don't know if it had to do with the joke that I told at the top of the set, uh, you know, but again, like that's kind of like casting the line out, and it's something that we do at live shows too, which is, we say something that we don't necessarily mean,
Yeah.
but designed to sort of, provoke and troll um the people in the audience. And then when they get really, like I said, when they start to boo, then that's sort of like a climax for us. And then if we are able to reel them in after that, then that will have been one of our more fun shows for
Mm.
both of us and presumably for the crowd too.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you definitely won them over, and you can hear in the recording that everyone is having a fantastic time throughout it, especially during Good For You when you played that song. You are fantastic at making songs that we love into like punk rock versions. How did you go about picking the songs that you wanted to rearrange?
Well, on this one, it was we just threw things up against the wall, and just you kind of see what's generally speaking. If a song takes more than 15 minutes to get like a good, like something that that makes an impression, then you're probably barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah.
So like if it's not, if the gratification is not almost instant, as far as like the song itself, how you think you can do it. Like there are only so many things that the five of us can do, and we're sort of aware of that. Like some songs, which are, I would argue, done. Um, the only thing we'd be able to do to them is make them clownishly fast
Yeah.
and sort of dilute the power of the original song.
Mm.
Some other songs are, and a lot of the time those are bands or songs that I'm a little precious about. Like I would admit it. But like John Denver, Barry Manilow, Neil Diamond, like I've never been precious about those groups, nor did I ever particularly like them. So I think that is part of the process, trying to convert those songs into something that I can recognize and that I can actually dig. And in this case, because it was a live event, and because we couldn't help but have Johnny's Bar Mitzvah, which we recorded 20 years ago. We played a bar
Mm.
mitzvah 20 years ago, and we recorded that as a live record, and we could not help as but have that sort of as an example, and like kind of a frame of reference. The thing that was liberating about that was that it was the one record where we did not adhere to a theme or a decade or a genre. So it was really easy to just sort of pick and choose whatever we wanted. And when it came time to do a song from like the current millennium, like the Olivia Rodrigo song,
Yeah.
we didn't have a theme uh holding us back, so to speak.
Yeah, it would have been very freeing. So, do you record most of your live performances?
No, no, almost none of them,
Mm,
other than, just some things that wind up on YouTube or Instagram or something like that. But this was like, so as far as staged, like
mm.
it was in every way but the actual like the playing and the audience, like it was staged, like like it's like we definitely set up to record,
Yeah, cool,
and we
cool.
set up to record in like better than just say like a mixing board recording
Yeah.
um at a club. Otherwise though, like I'm kind of on the fence about like whether I would want to record, like come to the show, because that the
Mm,
kinetic energy is there, like the smells and the sounds and the sort of like the things that you can't, like even a great recording is no substitute for having been there. On the other hand, what I hope a great live recording is that like you sort of you imagine yourself there, and like the closer you get to it and the more you imagine it, the further you're probably getting from any kind of accurate reflection of what the event was. And to me, like that's the mark of a great record.
yeah.
I hope this is a good record, but to me the mark of a great record is like four or five people sit, a handful of people get together with some songs that they've rehearsed and played together, and they play it in a space. And this is like, to me it's kind of metaphysical because there's some sort of spark of creativity, creative energy, what have you, that resonates through time and is interpreted, and more importantly, I believe, misinterpreted over time until it kind of snowballs and it takes on a life of its own, and hopefully transports you to a different world and becomes its own sort of like little event. And to play and record a live show is sort of like a cheat code to that, because it was an actual event. And there is a little bit more detail, as to like there are
Mm,
sounds of like girls screaming throughout the entire, which is one of my favorite things
yes.
about the record. But if you weren't there, no matter how, even if I was there, like I'm gonna misremember it. But if you weren't there, you can't help but try to fill in the blanks, but you're wrong, like you're it wasn't, that's not how it was, which I think is, that's the mark of like great movies, and I'm
That's
not trying to compare
magic.
this record to those. Yeah, it's like it's what misinterpretation is essential to like great works of art. And this is not, I'm not saying this is a great work of art. What I'm saying is we this is our way to kind of like cheat our way into people's record collections, and into people's subconscious mind, music listening mind.
Mm, well, look, I'm going to back you on those statements. Even though you weren't saying that it's a great album, I think that it's a bloody brilliant recording, and I
Oh,
can't
thank
wait to
you.
listen to it again. Now,
Thank you.
speaking of getting out to gigs, you're coming to Australia to do a tour, including
Yes.
a date here in Newcastle on the 2nd of November. Can you tell me, do you have any fond memories of playing Australia?
Oh, absolutely. I remember the first time I went, and I was in Newtown, uh, in Sydney, on the other side of the university there, and I remember thinking like with the canopies, and there may have been some raised sidewalks here or there. I thought like, man, am I in the Wild West or Victorian England, or like, and then bats, like a whole, like it was the bat time,
Yeah, lots of
and
bats.
then they came out, and I thought like, man, I really am at the ends of the earth. I don't mean that in the derogatory, you know what I mean? I don't mean that in the pejorative. I just meant like, man, I am not home right now. There were so
Mm,
many like familiar, uh Anglophile, think that an American would recognize, or an Englishman would recognize, but like so much that was absolutely not familiar. Like the no ozone layer thing, that got old kind of quick. But I mean, my skin is just like I'm basically transparent. So but man, going to Brisbane where the Saints are from was kind of a big deal
Yeah.
to me because the Saints have like, and specifically Eternally Yours, which it's hard to say that because then it immediately sounds like you're putting I'm Stranded down, which I am not. But like it's the same thing with like Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead. Like I happen to prefer Dawn of the Dead, and that's not to say that Night of the Living Dead is one of the greatest films of all time. But Dawn of the Dead just spoke to me a little more. And Eternally Yours, I think it's something to do with the horn section on the first song. That song just like grabs you by the throat. Like the record just like, and I've never listened to Prehistoric Sounds. I got to admit it. Isn't that weird? You know,
Yeah.
but that was like Saints memorabilia, going to Tim's store over there in the hell is that neighborhood called? Why can't I think of that neighborhood? It's kind of a good name.
Where
Something
is it?
Valley.
Valley.
In
Oh.
Brisbane. It's the neighborhood something
Fortitude.
Valley.
Fortitude
Valley,
Yeah.
exactly. And he had a shop there with a bunch of cool pedals and Mosrites, and he's still doing stuff out of his house. I think he lost the shop, but because Fortitude Valley is changing, just like every city. Like we're not happy unless we're making it like unaffordable and inaccessible
Yeah.
to ourselves. But no, lot of great impressions, and then the food, the muscle cars. Like there's a lot of stuff, and the music. There's a lot of Australian music that I love quite a bit. Like I think like there's a weird, like I like some English rock bands, and but like some of them are the bands that I love the most. But I think that there's like Australians get rock and roll a little bit better than like you guys are almost like Americans. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I don't mean to, I hope you don't take that as an insult.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But
It's interesting.
Just like we're both outcasts.
Yeah. True.
We're both and I just think there's something like the rock and roll spirit is definitely out there. Yeah, no, I love coming back.
Yeah, it's
we got new stuff this time. We were there, like it's not that long ago that we were there, but we got a ton of new stuff, and it's not just stuff that was off of this the Quinceañera record that we did. There's one brand new one that I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but that is very specific to your country that and we're gonna have a 7-inch release.
Wow.
To kind of like coincide with it. So definitely looking forward to this trip because I mean it's a little bit of a troll, but I think Australians love being trolled as much as anybody else. Like I said, those are the nights that you sell the most shit. Like it's the weirdest thing when people are seemingly the most disapproving. You end up having the most successful night. We're like human beings are a weird animal, that's for sure.
I can't wait to disapprove of you when you come and play Bar on the Hill on the 2nd of November. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Yes, you got it. Thank you for having me.